Dress for success. Maybe you've heard this phrase before, but what it really boils down to is your first impression. And there's a lot of things that need to be said that oftentimes aren't, so listen closely. One of the things that I want you to understand is that the obvious is perhaps the most often missed, which is having a good handshake. And I say that now during a time when maybe we're fist bumping or elbow bumping, but nonetheless, it's having that great first impression with eye contact, getting to know everyone in the room in the sense that if there's a room of interviewers, we're wanting to actually identify each individually and if possible, use their names. Now, that's perhaps the most clear thing that we need to understand about dressing for success and making a good first impression. But this is what I really want to emphasize. Dressing for success is first and foremost your hygiene. You need to make sure that you're bathing before you're actually going to these interviews, that you're using deodorant, that you're brushing your teeth, that you're combing your hair. You need to look the part. This has nothing to do with the attire that you're wearing. It has to do with you as an individual. Do you feel good? Do you look refreshed? Are you actually clean and presentable? Too often when I was doing interviews, did I meet with somebody that failed to actually put on the deodorant or do their hair, and they looked unkept. And if that's a good indication of what I can expect as an employer moving forward, that's all I need. And from that point on in the interview, everything else was irrelevant. That first impression when the person came in where they didn't even choose to get dressed in their nicer shirt or nicer pants or wear their better shoes was actually a discouragement because it showed how much they cared about themselves. And if that's how much they care about themselves, what makes me think they're going to care more for the position or the company if hired? So dressing for success does actually begin with your hygiene. And it's more important, such as, do you have a good clean haircut? Did you shave today? Or do you have a well-kept beard? Are you in a position where you're wearing makeup? Are you well-kept in the sense that your clothing is ironed or folded well, or is it creased and wrinkled? These things are very, very important. Now, as for the dressing part of this, let me emphasize a few things that might not be so obvious, which is I highly recommend that before the interview, you call the company, you maybe speak to the receptionist or someone there and just mention, hey, I've got an interview tomorrow. I was just kind of curious, what's the dress code there? It's a very simple question to ask, but I can guarantee you that most never bother to do this research. And from a dressing standpoint, nothing's wrong with you dressing better than the interviewer. What you don't want to experience is where you're dressing less than the interviewer. For example, if it's a professional dress environment where the interviewer is going to be dressed such as with a suit and a tie, you want to understand that you not wearing the tie doesn't help your case. If they're wearing a tie, you ought to have worn a tie. But if they hadn't worn a tie, maybe they didn't wear even a suit coat, you're in a position where you can go in with the tie or a suit coat and be totally fine. You can overdress the interviewer. You can't underdress and believe you're going to be okay. Now, women, you know exactly what this means as to how you want to present yourself. But the easiest way to break this down and explain it is there's 3 categories of dress. And you can just call the company and figure out real quickly what the dress code is there. And if it's a construction company, it's perhaps obvious, right? What we're looking for is professional dress, business casual, or casual dress. Professional would obviously be more that look that 10, 20 years ago was perhaps the uniform of the accounting profession. It's the suit and tie kind of a look. It's what I wore literally to work Monday through Friday 20 years ago. Now, business casual is where we stepped into maybe taking off the tie in the men's case, and for years, taking off even the suit coat. And if that's the case, you're in a position where it's business casual. It's more relaxed. Where you find the casual is the jeans and the shorts and the flip-flops. It's where it's definitely more relaxed. And honestly, most common today. But the point is you definitely don't want to go into a interview dressed casually when the person is business casual or professional. You want to, again, be one level up above the interviewer, if not equal to. That helps you put yourself into a position where you look more like you'll fit in and that you can relate to the people. You just don't want to stand out as someone being sloppy or uncaring of the opportunity you're trying to take advantage of in this interviewing process. So real quickly, let me review. Dressing for success, it's acting the part. It's walking in with confidence, looking people in the eye, smiling when you walk in, greeting everyone involved in the interviewing process, greeting the receptionist as you arrive to actually do the meeting and such. It's now the hygiene. It's making sure that you are presentable, that you care for yourself. So if you're a little bit more lax in your caring for yourself with your hygiene, you've got to step it up. And then lastly, it is in fact the actual attire, the what you're wearing that matters. And then in that case, it's a simple phone call to find out what is the common dress code in the environment, what may the interviewer be wearing so that you can match or do better than. Nothing's wrong arriving with a suit and a tie to someone that is business casual or casual. It's the opposite that you're going to want to avoid. And if you do this, you'll realize the most important part of this is you're presenting yourself as serious and interested in the position. You took the time to get ready for and be prepared to be interviewed, and that's what matters most. So just understand in this module, dress for success, act the part, and show your interest. And with that, you'll do just fine because accounting success is universal.